Hey traders, welcome back to the FXE YouTube channel. EU pushed up nicely to the upside. I was hoping it would sweep to buy side liquidity before pulling back so aggressively, I may add. Will it continue further to the upside from here or start to come down now? Let's analyze the charts and try to understand what to expect next. But first, be sure to check out the links in the description below and hit the thumbs up button and subscribe if you haven't already. Now let's get into it. So starting with the fundamentals. So yesterday we had unemployment claims which came in weak, and today we have NFP. NFP could completely wreck my bias, but guess we just have to wait and see. So today I'm not expecting so much in terms of price action until news comes around. At best we reach the buy side liquidity above, but I'm guessing any gains we get will likely be manipulated when NFP comes around. Now onto the charts, starting with the yields. As I was thinking, we did get continuation to the downside. So all these candles, these bearish candles that we have yesterday, so that's our continuation. 5-year came all the way to the daily fair value gap, and you can see we had a reaction off of it, while the 10-year and 30-year are lagging a little. But you can see they are continuing lower. As I mentioned yesterday, the key areas to watch is to see if the low breaks and we get a shift. And we also created a bearish fair value gap above, so we may see a pullback into that inefficiency before continuation to the downside. But the main thing I'm interested to see if we can get is a break of the lows to confirm a daily shift, and then at that point we can expect the yields to come down much lower. Okay, moving on to DXY, starting with the daily time frame. So you can see we had a really nice push to the downside. We swept the previous lows, came down lower into the daily order block, and you can also see we created more sell side liquidity. But we also left a lot of inefficiency above. So not only do we have the daily volume imbalance that we still have left open above, but we have a massive daily fair value gap above as well. This will likely be targeted at one point or another, and I wouldn't be surprised if we see manipulation during NFP to target those areas before pushing down lower. Now moving on to the 4-hour time frame. So you can see yesterday during London and New York we had a really nice push to the downside. We broke the 4-hour lows, and thereafter you can see we continued down and we created equal lows with this low here. So really nice sell side liquidity left behind to be targeted later. Thereafter we had a very significant pullback, but what you can see is we created this 4-hour fair value gap on the way down. We mostly filled that 4-hour imbalance, and then ever since we've been consolidating in this area. So for now I'm still bearish as yields continue to push to the downside, which is consistent with what we are seeing on DXY. But we do have NFP, and who knows what could happen then. And to be honest, I'm only looking for setups for London, just hoping that we get a nice trade for that session, and I will either mostly be out of the trades come NFP or completely out. Really quick on the hourly time frame, so you can see a little clearer the nice breaker structure that we had here, and you can also see the equal lows that were created with this low here. So very nice area of equal lows left behind to be targeted later. But then we had that aggressive pullback coming back into the 4-hour fair value gap, and after a reaction, after mostly filling it, we've more or less been consolidating in this area. So what I'm looking for next is I want to see if we can get a break of this low, either a Frankfurt Open or before Frankfurt Open, and if we do, then I will be looking for a pullback before expecting DXY to continue lower. So focusing on this area here, so you can see we created the midnight open here, and we also have some liquidity resting here with an unmitigated supply above. So these are actually my two areas that I will be looking to see if DXY can reach. So assuming we break this low, then I would like to see if we can get a pullback. There's some inefficient pricing, so a fair value gap right here. See if we can get a pullback to that inefficient pricing above the open price, and thereafter come to the downside. The other scenario I'm looking at is after a break of the lows, coming back up, sweeping the liquidity that we have here into the 1 hour unmitigated supply that we have above, and then from there pushing to the downside. Moving on to EU, starting with the daily time frame. So you can see we had a really nice push to the upside on yesterday's candle. Unfortunately, we failed to hit the buy side targets. We missed it by 7 pips, and I'm expecting that we eventually sweep that high and potentially the one above. But as you can see, we also created a daily fair value gap below. At one point or another, it should be targeted. So for today, regardless if we start to push up to the upside from here, I'm guessing we could see some massive manipulation during NFP with the fair value gap being targeted before we start to see a real push, like a real strong push to the upside. On the 4-hour time frame, you can see how nicely we pushed to the upside yesterday, but then the pullback was nearly as aggressive, and ever since we've just been consolidating in this area. If we go to the 1-hour time frame, so what you can see is from this low to this high, if we take our fibs, you can see we came back into OTE. We also had an hourly fair value gap that we nicely came into, reacted off of, and then have been consolidating in this area ever since. Ideally, if we get a break of this candle right here, I would be really interested in looking for longs. So some kind of manipulation or pullback thereafter, and then trying to find a shift and a long entry targeting the buy side liquidity above. The only problem is even if EU goes in my direction, I'm not sure if we'll reach the buy side liquidity before NFP. And when NFP comes around, anything can happen. Hopefully I'm in profit. Hopefully I'm in a trade and in profit by then. And if we haven't reached our targets, either I will close out 90% of the trade before NFP and let the rest run, or just close it out completely. For now, I'm still looking for continuation to the upside, but as we have NFP later on today, I'm not sure whether we'll see much price movement today. And even if we do, I'm guessing that NFP will likely give us a whipsaw, taking out any gains that we get and manipulating back into the imbalance before continuing to the upside, assuming that is the direction EU wants to go. With that said, trade cautiously during London, avoid NFP, and if you do trade NFP, give it an hour or so for price action to settle down and look for continuation entries if it starts trending to the upside. Anyways, that's it for today's update. Hopefully you found some value in today's video, and if you did, a like and a subscribe would be appreciated. Good luck trading today, and I'll see you for the next one. Peace.
Black Swan.